Hey guys, welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is The Daily Show. We give you all of the latest news from the world of movies, put some insight into what it all means. Leading off the show today is Mark Ellis.
Welcome one and all to the best movie news show in the entire galaxy. My name is Mark. Huge thank you to all the Collider fans that saw me in San Francisco this weekend. Awesome time doing stand-up, and now I'm back here on the table. Ashley, I'm going to let you choose today. Is it just you and me doing the show, or
no, we have
have
some other people joining us.
Oh, okay, fine.
Also, here's Dennis then.
Hello, everyone. Looks like I have another sausage.
Yeah, sausage is still here.
Sausage.
Alice pointed out, though, I should be glad that Sausage Party is not number one.
It's true. It would be worse if it was the number one slot for reasons that you could probably tell every time you see Dennis's shot.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Also here is host of Jedi Council, Kristian Harloff.
I'm here and I have no idea why everyone is yelling.
What do you mean? Do you get it?
Yeah.
Everyone's yelling, I'm saying.
I'm sorry, Grandpa.
Hey, I'm Christian. Welcome back from the weekend. Hello.
Yeah. Okay.
Better?
Okay.
Ashley, what's our first
Right.
story today?
Well, it's Monday, which means it's time for the weekend box office report brought to you by our friends at AMC Theatres. Suicide Squad took the #1 spot at the box office for the third weekend in a row with $20.7 million, bringing its domestic cume to $262.3 million. Sausage Party took the #2 spot, making $15.3 million. Leading the weekend's newcomers, War Dogs finished in the #3 spot with $14.3 million. Laika's Kubo and The Two Strings, another new release, took the #4 spot with $12.6 million. And narrowly finishing the #5 spot was Paramount and MGM's $100 million budgeted remake of Ben-Hur, which proved to be a box office bust, delivering only $11.3 million. Mark, what do you think about Ben-Hur's performance at the box office?
Well, first of all, I think to Dennis Zen, who had a great tweet about Ben-Hur. It was very funny, hilarious. You guys should check out his Twitter feed. I think that's a huge disappointment because, like Ashley said, the movie cost $100 million in that ballpark to make. So it's a total bummer that it barely cracked $10 million. It's only good for #5. When you look at something like Suicide Squad, I think that's awesome. It's still #1, and Sausage Party right there on its heels at 2. Kristian, when you look at this, does the bombing of Ben-Hur speak to a larger thing going on in the movie industry right now, or is it just that there wasn't an appetite for this particular remake?
You mean with the remakes? No, I don't think it means that. The fact that there are so many remakes, people are getting sick of them for sure. I think that it should mean, what are you going to choose to remake? And if you are going to do it, it's like none of the trailers looked good. It would have been. I don't think that if you would have seen the trailers for Ben-Hur and said, wait a minute, this could be something pretty interesting. If the tone would have been a little different, if they didn't, the message at the end of the film was so over your head. But that doesn't matter because a lot of people didn't even see the damn movie. I think that the lack of star power did hurt the movie for sure. I think the trailers weren't anything exciting. I think that there was more for people to see. The Sword and Sandals movies.
I think that's more where I was going. Is you had your Gladiator and you had 300, and now it seems like everybody's trying to do that model, and it doesn't end up working out that well.
No, and I think that they try to do it also because even though Game of Thrones is a different kind of animal, there's similarities for sure. But I think that there are people trying to capture on the popularity of that show by putting it in a similar setting. But what it means is you got to make a good movie. You have to. I mean, it's got to be something that has a lot of buzz. It needs to be for these particular movies, like you said, because they don't normally. Swords and Sandals movies, there are a handful of them that really work. When they work, they're great, but they're hard to make work for whatever reason.
Dennis, these results seem to indicate we're not getting a Lawrence of Arabia remake anytime soon. What's your take on Ben-Hur?
Yeah, I actually had it higher on my list when we did a box office predictions on Friday. I think you got 5 out of 5.
I did,
right?
yeah. Absolutely.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I thought that it was going to pull in. I don't know, either they marketed it wrong, because I thought maybe they would market it to the faith-based community. Either they marketed it wrong or they didn't market it at all, because when you watch that movie, especially with the ending, you figured this would be right in their wheelhouse. But yeah, I didn't think it was going to do that poorly. And then Suicide Squad, we all predicted that it was going to repeat at #3. So the part that I'm most upset about actually is not Ben-Hur, is Kubo and the Two Strings.
Yeah.
Like at #4, people keep complaining about, there's not enough original movies. There's all these sequels. There's all these remakes. This thing's based on a book. This is blah, blah, blah. This movie it's a gorgeous film. It's beautiful. It's original. It's unique. And it's placed #4. at 11.4
It made
million?
about $12 million
much
just
did it
over
cost
that.
to make, though?
It cost about 60 to make.
Did it
So
make 60?
yeah, it
Wow.
had a steep price tag, and I guess people didn't want to see an animated movie that doesn't have sausages trying to have sex with each other.
Yeah,
So
apparently not.
maybe next week. All right, what's up next, Ash?
According to a report from THR, Michael Pena has officially been confirmed to be returning to Marvel's Ant-Man and the Wasp. Production on the sequel is slated to begin next year, with Peyton Reed returning to direct a story that will bring Evangeline Lilly's Hope Van Dyne character, known as the Wasp, into a co-starring role opposite Paul Rudd. Rudd will once again write the script alongside Andrew Barrer and Gabriel Ferrari, the on-set writers for Ant-Man, with Adam McKay also contributing to the story. Ant-Man and the Wasp is slated for release on July 6, 2018. Dennis, what do you think about Michael Pena returning to Ant-Man and the Wasp?
Well, I'm happy about it. I'm not too surprised. He's one of the standout characters from the original film, and him not being there, I think we would have felt something missing. I mean, I'm really a big fan of Michael Pena. He shows up in a diverse amount of movies. He was in The Martian. He was in Battle Los Angeles, Fury, Gangster Squad, End of Watch. Even movies that he isn't, or the movies aren't that great, he's actually still good in them. So I'm excited that he's in this film.
Yeah, I caught Ant-Man on TV last week again, and he is one of the standouts to me. Kristian was really high on saying that it was a smaller movie, still in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It was a heist film, and the element he brought of it with comedy and his background with Paul Rudd's character, I think is such a good dynamic that you want to see where that's going to go in the future, because him and T.I. were they were essential parts of pulling off this mission that happens in Ant-Man, so you want to see them get into more hijinks. I think it's going to be great going forward. How about you, Kristian?
Yeah, I agree. I think that the thing is, when he was in the movie, if you didn't know what the movie was going to be, walking in, you'd be like, oh no, this could really be what everybody's worried about by putting this much comedy in the movie. And it was the opposite of that. I thought he was so representative of what the tone of that movie was. And he was a real character that was funny. And I thought that the way that they used him was great. And there were a lot of elements from Edgar Wright's script that still made it in to Peyton Reed's version of the movie. And I think that that Pena actually helped bring out a lot of the Edgar Wright humor that was still in the movie. I also think he brought his own brand to it. I think he's going to do that in the second one. I think he was a really great part of the story, not just for the comic relief. I thought that he was a great character overall. So I'm glad that he's coming back, and it makes sense.
You guys hear about the Ashley, did you read the part about the bringing?
I did.
Dude.
Oh my God.
What
Have
is
you
it?
guys seen this video?
No.
Oh, you
What is
have
it?
to see it. I'm so freaking excited for this movie. Like, this video on YouTube, it went viral. It's about a girl that was found in a tank in Hollywood at one of the hotels.
She's acting really weird, right? And she goes into like an elevator or something. This was in
Oh my
2013.
God.
This is real.
True
This is a
story.
real-
Yeah, this is
and
a
she's
real
acting
story.
really, really strange. And she ended up, they found her in a tank. So Michael Pena signed on to star in that movie as well. And that's where this report came
Yeah.
from, I
He's going
guess.
to play the tank or the little girl?
He's playing neither of those
Oh.
characters, but my God, that thing could get really, really creepy.
That's going to be an amazing movie. I'm excited
All
for
right,
that
what's
one.
up next?
Deadline reports that Ben Affleck has signed on to direct and star in A Witness for the Prosecution, an adaptation of the Agatha Christie short story and play that first hit the big screen in 1957. Christopher Kaiser will write the script with Affleck, Jennifer Todd, Matt Damon, and the Agatha Christie estate producing. Billy Wilder directed the first adaptation, which garnered 6 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture. The movie will tell the story of a lawyer who represents a man accused of murdering a wealthy widow, with whom she became so infatuated that she left him her estate. A release date has not been set. Kristian, what do you think about Ben Affleck directing and starring in Witness for the Prosecution?
I love it. I mean, there's nothing right now that you can tell me that he's going to direct that I'm not going to be on board with. He's one of my favorite directors out there right now. He's 3 for 3. This is the first movie, I believe, that he's directing that isn't a Warner Brothers movie. So it's interesting that he's dealing with Fox. Yeah. So this is, it could be great. I mean, the fact that he is doing, I want to see it go away from, I know he didn't direct Gone Girl, but there could be similarities there. I hope the character's a bit different. Seems like it will be, but I don't know. Yeah, anything right now that he's directing, I'm on board with, and I think this is smart. He's doing he'll do a few of these types of movies, the thrillers and the dramas, and then he'll go and he'll do the Batman movie, which I think also adds to his legacy as a director. I would like to see him, not necessarily for this, but and obviously not for Batman, but I would like to see him do what he did with Gone Baby Gone, is pull himself out of the starring role, because now with The Town and with Argo, he's been front and center of his movies also, and I'd like to see him concentrate on just a movie. I like that he's putting himself in movies right now, but again, I want to see him whatever it might be because I think he's brilliant as a director.
If Ben Affleck wants to be in the movie, Kristian, he can be in the damn movie.
Yeah, sure.
Because he's great, and you're right. I trust the guy. Like right now, his track record recently, whatever he wants to direct, wherever it comes from, he could say he's directing Sharknado 6, and we'd be like, I guess they got a great script. Like, I trust Ben Affleck both in front of and behind the camera. So this is an easy slam dunk for me, Dennis. When you throw in the Agatha Christie spin on it, it's something that I really would be intrigued by. How about you?
Yeah, from that angle, I actually am a big fan of Agatha Christie. I used to read a lot of her books when I was younger, and I like that now her movies are her stories are now going to be told on the big screen again. Because back in the 70s and 80s, you had like Murder on the Orient Express, Death on the Nile, Evil Under the Sun, and you had these movies, and they've kind of, Hollywood has gone away from Agatha Christie for a while, and they're starting to bring her back because we have a Murder on the Orient Express remake with Kenneth Branagh. We have someone like a Ben Affleck directing and starring in this movie. So I like that they're actually taking her story seriously and using actual talent there.
Yeah, I just like that we're getting more mysteries now, you know?
Yeah.
Like, not necessarily the Clue remake, but just like things where it's like there's going to be twists, there's going to be turns. You got to see it opening weekend because you don't want your friends to spoil it for you. I like those kind of movies, and so this sounds like it's something that's going to be up our alley. All right, let's move on to Buy or Sell. This is a part of the show where Ashley's going to give us a topic, and we will say whether we buy it or sell it, then defend the hell out of our choice. What's up first, Ash?
If there is a batch of Marvel characters that have long been rumored to be turning up in Avengers Infinity War, it's the Guardians of the Galaxy. And now, thanks to a Facebook Live event, Vin Diesel has given us the answer by casually mentioning and officially confirming that the Guardians will be appearing in the upcoming Russo brothers directed third movie with the Avengers. House screenwriters Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely introduced the Guardians to an already huge cast of Avengers. Remains for the fans to see when Avengers Infinity War hits theaters on May 4, 2018. Mark, buy or sell the Guardians of the Galaxy appearing in Avengers Infinity War?
I certainly buy it. I mean, you can always get a little nervous when you find out just how many superheroes are going to be in one movie, but the movie's called Avengers Infinity War. Like, I want to see as many superheroes. If you thought they crammed a lot in the first Avengers or Age of Ultron or Civil War, just wait till you see Infinity War. It's going to be awesome, and I love the cast of Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't anticipate them having a huge part in this film. I hope it's a little more than just a cameo appearance. I'd like to see them have some sort of interaction with the Avengers, but either way, I buy the hell out of this. I'm not sure, Vin Diesel is always the guy that confirms everything, so I'm not sure if Marvel wants him to do all these things. If they're like, hey, Vin, can you do a Facebook Live event and tell people that Guardians is going to be in there, or every time he makes one of these announcements, they're like, oh God, I guess we got to run with this. Dennis, what's your take on the timing of this announcement?
I buy it. I think it's the timing is good because some people are complaining in the chat room about, well, this is already, we already knew this. No, we didn't actually already know this because of several things. One, James Gunn talks about Guardians 2, and he says there's not going to be any Infinity Stones, and Thanos is not going to be in it. Also, I remember, I forgot how long ago, but there had been talk about how Guardians of the Galaxy was not going to be in Avengers Infinity War. And I remember at that time when they said that, I was like, no way, they have to be because they tie in so directly. It's going to be an interstellar film. They just fit in nicely. Now, we don't know how big a role they're going to have, but they have to be in there.
Kristian, you buying this?
Yeah, I'm buying it. I mean, as far as Vin Diesel, to answer your question, I think it is the latter. I think he probably just says some stuff and like, oh, he just did it again. But it wasn't too big of a scoop. But I think that people in the chat room are saying whether they assumed it is. Remember that?
We assumed
it.
We assumed
it, of course. So the event of when Marvel, I think in 2013, when they showed those promos, when Kevin Feige had the one in Hollywood, in the promo for the Avengers Infinity War, they showed everything that was going to happen. Not footage from the movie, obviously, but they put like everything that was kind of setting it up with Thanos, and then they showed the Guardians in there too. So we just kind of assumed it, and the setting is right for them to be there, and the possibility of having Star-Lord interact with Tony Stark and Rocket and the Hulk and all these things that could be really fun. But I think that what it will also do is the Avengers. The first time we saw the Avengers, the first movie, it was our dreams as we saw all of our favorite superheroes. They appeared. Now, not necessarily just the comic book fans, but the comic book movie fans that have now been so invested in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and now have been invested in Guardians of the Galaxy and will be after Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Now we get that feeling again when in Infinity War, now they get to meet up with other people that they haven't. I think it's smart that they're not interacting at all and just set it up for Infinity War. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Isn't it crazy tickets for this thing aren't going to be like $60? I mean, it feels
Yeah,
like
I
a
know.
pay-per-view
I know,
event.
it's
It
true.
really does with all these characters in one movie. You bring up some very tantalizing matches, too. Rocket Raccoon and Hulk hanging out. I want to see that trilogy. That sounds incredible. Can't wait for Guardians of the Galaxy, which comes out next year, and then it appears we will see them at least a little bit in Infinity War. All right, Ash, what's up next?
Dwayne Johnson has finally wrapped filming on the latest action sequel in the Fast and Furious franchise, and now he's moving on to Jumanji in 2 weeks. Taking to his Instagram account, Johnson confirmed that he wrapped filming on Fast 8, and then went on to confirm that Jumanji will not actually be a reboot, but a continuation of the awesome Jumanji story. He will co-star with Kevin Hart and Jack Black in the upcoming film, which will be directed by Jake Kasdan. Fast 8 opens on April 14, 2017, and Jumanji opens on July 28, 2017. Dennis Byers saw Jumanji as a continuation of the story rather than a reboot.
I guess I'll buy it. I mean, personally, for me, I'm not going to notice. Like, they'll probably do these nods to the first original film. There'll be Easter eggs in this new movie. I won't remember because I saw Jumanji a long time ago, and I'm not like a hardcore Jumanji fan.
You're not steeped in Jumanji canon?
No, the lore of Jumanji is above me. So I don't know. I guess my only question is The Rock going to start beef with Kevin Hart, and is he going to leave him off his thank you list?
I will buy that it is going to be a continuation and not a reboot. I think it's a nice way to better honor the legacy of Robin Williams than it would be to just say, like, oh, no, we're just going to have somebody else play a similar style character. So it's nice to know that the Robin Williams character did exist in this current universe going forward. I think that's the right way to do it. And it's probably The Rock just wanted to say something because he saw Vin Diesel announce something big. So The Rock wanted to counter with his own announcement because those are the two best guys to follow if you want breaking movie news. Kristian, do you buy that it's going to be a continuation?
I'm giving it a huge buy because, I mean, the amount of, if we want to see the movie, Jumanji, that's another conversation. But as far as the other reason, obviously, for what you're saying is that, yes, these events already happen. You're paying respect to Robin Williams. But the other thing is now we don't have to go over the same beats that we went through in the first movie. And it's like, oh, there's this game. And we know that there's a game. We know what, because even though you don't remember the movie, you know the premise of it.
Yeah.
So the fact that, we're still going to find this new family that finds it. Whether or not they get the information for what happened to Alan and from all those years past, we'll find that out in the movie. But I just think in all of these films, I've been saying this, with the Oceans movie and with this movie, and what they should have done with Ghostbusters, it just takes away any pressure. And Jumanji doesn't have that same lore that, whether the Oceans or Ghostbusters has. But it just, I just think it's a lot easier if you're telling a sequel. If there's more to tell in the story, in the lore, you give yourself more opportunity. Then you're not going to be compared to Robin Williams at all. You're not going to be compared to trying to do the same things they did in the early 90s version. I think this is a smart move. I think that studios should continue this trend of continuing stories because, God forbid, I don't want anything to ever happen in the Back to the Future world. I want it to be done. I don't want anything to happen with Back to the Future ever again.
Marty.
However, if they were ever going to do anything with Back to the Future, somehow a DeLorean is found and it's a new story, you have so much more than trying to recast Doc and recast Marty. This is a smarter trend to do if you're going to do it at all. And I'm going to say the movie's going to be good.
Yeah.
But
there's a lot of executives that watch this
I
show.
know.
Don't give them the idea.
Like I said,
to
I
redo
don't.
Back to
I
the
want
Future.
nothing to do with it. But I'm saying if you're going to take old material, continue on the lore and don't replace it. I just don't think it's
That
necessary.
happens.
Look at Creed.
It's on
Look at
you.
Creed. Look what they did with Creed. That Creed was a way to continue the story, and they got Stallone involved as well too. That's a way to continue the story as opposed to let's recast Rocky.
Ashley, you played the game Jumanji a lot when you were a kid,
I
right?
did.
You're a fan of the movie. Is this the right way to
did.
continue the lore?
It's been I was so young when I saw Jumanji, but you're right. The continuation does take a lot of the pressure off, and I do think like Creed is a great example. But I'm wondering how they're gonna tip their hat off to Robin Williams. I'm excited to see that, but I do buy the idea of a continuation rather than remaking the whole story.
If it's anything like how they said goodbye to him in Night at the Museum 3, it's gonna wreck me. My God, I was a puddle. I was 165 pounds of water
I just
at the
watched
end of
that
that
the other night.
movie. It was so
Museum.
beautiful and so sad. It was really, really emotional. Quick question. So Fast 8 comes out in April of next year. and then you have Jumanji in July of next year. Is there any world where Jumanji actually does more at the box office than Fast 8?
No.
All right, our next topic, Ash, is...
Bad Boys for Life, the official title for Bad Boys 3, is now full steam ahead, according to writer-director Joe Carnahan. In an interview with IO9, Carnahan clarified that the release date delay came down to a matter of scheduling and making sure that they were making the best script before jumping into production. Speaking on the script itself, Carnahan also described it as the strongest script of any of those movies, hands down. Carnahan also confirmed that the movie will not act as a sequel/remake hybrid that passes the torch. Bad Boys for Life will open on January 12, 2018. Kristian, buy-or-sell Carnahan's comments about the delayed release date for Bad Boys 3.
Sure. I mean, I buy it. He's got no reason to lie to anybody, but I also think that with Carnahan, I don't know about the January release date. I think that's a bit weird. I think maybe if you could have found a February or March date, I don't know. But I like the idea, though. This goes back to my previous statements, what I was just saying. Let's focus on just a straight up sequel. We don't need to say, well, he's got a kid and he's got a kid and that speaks franchise because we're going to do Sons of Bad Boys. And it's like, just focus on the third one because it's been so long since the second one. You want to get the best script in there. You want to really focus on these characters. Carnahan feels if he's picking up on these, characters that wasn't his creation, he's acquiring it. If he feels this is a cool story, he can reboot this with these two guys, then yeah, I want to see what he can do. But I don't want them to just focus on Bad Boys 4 and Bad Boys 5 if it's going to be a brand new cast of characters. If he thinks he can tell these stories, then I'll buy what he's saying.
Yeah, it's a buy for me. I mean, we seem to live in a day and age when every time you dust off a property and you make a new movie, it's got to be, who are they passing the fedora to? Who's the next legacy of this? Like, I like this because it feels like Lethal Weapon, where you had new characters that would pop into Lethal Weapon, like they brought in Chris Rock and Lethal Weapon 4, but it was all, you felt like it was going to be Riggs and Murtaugh. Even though Murtaugh was always 3 days from retirement, you still felt like those were going to be the guys in every Lethal Weapon movie. So I love seeing this with Bad Boys. It is going to be those dudes again, because whatever you want to think about Will Smith or Martin Lawrence now, those guys can still carry a movie. Will Smith obviously proved it with Suicide Squad, and it's crazy to think, Dennis, that maybe 2 months ago, as recent as 2 months ago, if you had said, hey, Mark, would you rather see Will Smith back in Independence Day or back in Bad Boys? I'd say Independence Day. Come on. I am so happy he did not come back to do Independence Day resuckins, and I'm so glad that he is going to be in Bad Boys 3. I'm getting more. I'm becoming Josh McCougal level excited about this film. No, maybe not that. How about you, Dennis?
Yeah, I'm going to buy his statements. I mean, one, he says the strongest script out of the three. Well, that's probably not very hard to do considering the last two.
It's just words on the page.
Yeah. But I'm with you. I want to echo your statements about it being a true sequel versus passing the torch, because you mentioned Independence Day. Independence Day Resurgence tried to do that. They tried to go, okay, we're going to make a franchise out of it. We're going to make Independence Day Resurgence 2 and 3 and 4, and they were trying to focus on the young kids and Liam Hemsworth and the kid that played Will Smith's son. It's like no one cared about that. The best parts of that crappy movie were all the old characters, Bill Pullman and Jeff Goldblum. So I'm glad that this is the route they're going.
That's right. I mean, it's great to see. Like we did not want to see Will Smith's son in Independence Day. I don't want to see Will Smith's son in real life. I want to see Will Smith back in Bad Boys. Kids are not as good as their parents. That's a great lesson for everybody out there. All right, we got one more buy or sell.
Warner Brothers has released a new trailer for director Clint Eastwood's drama Sully. Based on real events, the film stars Tom Hanks as Chelsea Sully Sullenberger, the Miracle on the Hudson pilot who landed a disabled plane onto the frigid waters of the Hudson, saving the lives of the 155 people on board. That's just the catalyst for the film, which also tells the story of what happened next when an intense investigation into the event threatened to destroy Sully's reputation and career. Sully will open in theaters on September 9th. Mark, buy or sell the new trailer for Sully?
We got some good buy or sells today because it's going to be a four-peat for me. I am buying this new trailer. I'm very excited to see this movie. I hate to admit that there is some hesitation in me because Clint Eastwood's directing it, and I just want to see him get his fastball back, but seeing Tom Hanks as Sully, and when you watch this IMAX clip, you get to see the real Sully in there too for a little bit. It just looks so intense. It really reminded me of seeing the trailers for Robert Zemeckis' Flight, when obviously that was based on fiction and this is based on a true story, but seeing everything that Sully had to calculate and how the trailer teases you with the actual event, doesn't show you everything, shows you a lot, but doesn't show you everything. And then obviously it indicates we're going to be dealing with the aftermath and the investigation. Who's going to be a real standout in this movie is Mike O'Malley, who he used to host Guts on Nickelodeon, and he's like a good comedic actor, but recently he was in Concussion, and now he's in this just playing a real like investigative douche. So looking forward to seeing O'Malley in this too. How about you, Kristian?
I'm broke because I'm buying everything today. It's this trailer to me. What I liked in the beginning, even though that IMAX clip, was that I don't agree that I think that they showed almost too much, because I think that they only showed snippets of the inciting incident. They showed a lot of it, but I think they showed snippets of it because you're not going to really feel that intensity of them landing on the Hudson until you see the movie. But the movie's not about that. It's the initial thing that happens, and then it's the investigation of like even Eastwood said it in that clip, that they tried to put the blame on Sully, and I like the idea right away. I know that they're putting the focus, Eastwood is anyway, that the focus is of the man was a hero. He doesn't see himself as a hero, but that this is what this man did. And they're going to show this, and they're going to show what he had to go through and show the stress that he went through. We just see it in the public as like this great heroic event, but we don't know everything that went on behind us. And I think Eastwood will show that. I think Eastwood's good at doing that. But I agree also, I want to see if he can get that great movie. He hasn't had a great movie in a bit, so I want to see what he can do. But this trailer with Tom Hanks in the lead had me very interested, so I'm excited for the movie.
Dennis, we have 11 buys right now. I don't know that we've ever had 12 buys on one show. Do we have it today?
This is a big buy.
Oh, yeah. Right. Do we get money?
Yeah. No, I think we lost all our money. We spent it all. I really like this trailer. At first, when we did the behind the scenes thing, I was like, oh, this isn't really a trailer. I was like, this is kind of a ripoff, right? And then the actual real trailer starts, and they focus a lot, especially because it's an IMAX trailer. They focus on a lot of the shots of New York City, and you can tell the different cameras that were used. And yeah, you guys are right. They show a lot of tension. It shows how intense it is. I'm a little with Mark, though, because the whole incident takes a few minutes, like in real life. So
it's like 208 seconds.
Yeah. So what we're seeing in this trailer alone probably is a significant amount of just that sequence. But Kristian's right, where they're going to talk more about what happens afterwards in the investigation and also lead up to it. And I think it's going to be more of a character piece for Sully himself versus just that incident. And
it definitely looks like something that if you want to see this movie in theaters, you should go ahead and spend the extra money for IMAX. I mean, that is going to be one intense sequence. We're going to go to Wendy now. Then we have a clip we're going to show you guys before we get to mailbag. So, Wendy, you've been checking out the chat room. What are the fans saying about the box office results? And then also, let's talk a little bit about the Guardians of the Galaxy in Infinity Wars that seem to be getting a positive response from our loyal fans.
Sure, but first, a comment from Doug. He says, "Hey, Collider crew, I watch every day no matter where I am on the road right now. I'm playing bass for Dean Martin's daughter, and I thought you'd like to know she digs the show, especially Harloff."
Yeah. Oh, hey. Dino's daughter. Look at that.
Check it out.
Nicely done, sir.
And for our box office, some feels that Kubo needed to be in a higher spot, and please go see the movie if you haven't already. And the chat also expected Ben-Hur, and they're also calling it Ben-Hurt, to place low in the box office as no one was really interested in this remake. See Drug Games says, so sad to see Kubo do so little. It was amazing. And the one who breakfasts said, I thought War Dogs was a decent entertainment, but I would have liked it to be a greater movie if it was in better director's hand, also market it differently. And for our buy or sell section, Vin Diesel confirming Guardians in Infinity War. There's no surprise there, and the chat's totally buying this. Everyone's excited to see the Avengers and Guardians interact. Christopher Marino says, Self and Diesel ruining what would have been a cool surprise. And Lita Correz says, oh my God, let's get Vin Diesel away from social media, please. Faba says, I trust in the Russos doing the Avengers justice. Infinity War justice. I'm just worried that some of my favorite characters won't even talk in the movie. And finally, Maximum Effort says, introducing the new character, Candy Ass, also voiced by Vin Diesel.
All right. Well, I was slated to introduce this clip, but on the advice of Dean Martin's daughter, I'm going to hand it over to Kristian. You have a clip that you want to show us about an interview that you did right here in Collider Studios.
Yeah, we're going to show you. Let's show the clip first, and then I'm going to give a little breakdown. It's a little special clip that we did with the star of Jungle Book. Give me some of the coolest experiences that you had while you were filming Jungle Book. What do you remember that's just like that's going to stay with you forever?
Well, definitely that Bill Murray story.
Of course.
So he gave me the football that we were using, and I saw it was like relaced like 6 times. He said and stuff like that. So now it's like on our desk, and like when my friends come over, I hide it so they can't like touch it. Also, I guess so on one of the last days, I think actually it was the last day. Jon Favreau. So right before this, he made a movie called Chef.
Sure.
Yes, and everybody was talking about it because most of the people who were working on this were working on that as well. And so he made amazing grilled cheeses on set while he was making Chef, and like he made it again on Jungle Book set. And it was during like while we were filming, he would bring like a stove, and he was just like, and you could hear the wow in the middle of the So it was like a really like serious scene too. So I couldn't concentrate. I was like, yeah, okay, and then cut, and then I just ran.
Just
I
eyeing the
wanted
grilled
that,
cheese?
yeah, so
That's
much,
awesome.
and it was amazing. It was pepper jack, like cheese with like butter, like 3 sticks of butter, like mozzarella, like all the cheese in the world, and like sourdough bread and white bread and all the fattening breads in the world, and it was so amazing.
You are a kid after my own heart. I asked him his favorite moment on doing the set, and he's talking about grilled
Food.
cheese. I love this kid. All right, that was my interview with Neil Sethi. That will be up. That's up now, Dennis, yes?
Yeah.
The interview is up right now. Look, that movie, I just watched it again because I got the Blu-ray. It's still one of my favorite movies of the year, and that kid was so good when you consider what he did in the movie. He was the only human character in the whole damn thing. There was nothing for him to act against. It was really his first big role, and he's such a good kid. Just talking to him, like he's down to earth, because there have been those child actors who get a big hit movie and he's just like walking around like he actually is George Clooney. Not this kid. Not this kid. He was a down to earth, just chill, cool little kid who was looking at the Star Wars figures we had over there. His parents came in, we were talking to them, just down to earth kids. Nothing but success for that kid. He was awesome.
Well, Kristian already got to check out the Blu-ray. You guys can check out the digital download of The Jungle Book. Is actually available tomorrow, August 23rd, and then next Tuesday on August 30th, the Blu-ray comes out. And if you have not seen Jungle Book yet, like some people on the panel, you
What are
need
you
to
talking
see
about?
that movie.
I saw it.
I thought you didn't see Jungle Book.
Yes, what are you talking
Oh,
about?
all right. Thought you didn't see it. All right. Move on to mailbag.
All right, Wade Philpott writes, "Hey Collider team, huge fan of your shows. Many people believe that DC is stumbling in an attempt to catch up to Marvel with their cinematic universe, and I completely agree. Is the Nolan Batman trilogy to blame? Dark Knight Rises was released in 2012. The first Avengers movie was released the same year after several standalone MCU films, and Man of Steel released in 2013, 5 years after the original MCU film Iron Man. With Batman being one of the core Justice League members, is it fair to blame the Nolan films, as good as they are, for delaying a potential DCEU? It would have been nearly impossible / disrespectful to Nolan to relaunch another Batman franchise earlier. What are your guys and girls' thoughts on this? Thanks again. Keep up the great work."
I love this question, Wade, and you're right. I think you can fairly blame the Nolan trilogy for delaying the launch of the DCEU. Now, that's not saying that I didn't want the Nolan trilogy, or at least 2.5 of those movies, because I love those. Those are masterpiece Batman films. Batman Begins and The Dark Knight are 2 of my favorite movies of all time. And Dark Knight Rises coming out the same year as Avengers, it's going to be a staggered start. And so I get how you can, in retrospect, look at it like, man, that's really, we're getting out of the gates, not so quick here. And we got Superman. We can't really do Batman again yet. I understand that. And I think that was definitely an issue they had going forward. I mean, even, remember we started hearing reports that Christian Bale is being wooed to come back as Batman because maybe they could have picked up the momentum a little bit earlier if they kept the same Batman in that universe. I think there's a lot of hope for the DCEU going forward, but I definitely think that the Christopher Nolan movies and just the way that they came out is the reason why the DCEU is a lot more staggered than Marvel right now. Kristian?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly put them back time-wise because they had to reboot Batman in general, the character, and Stanley, because of the tone. Nolan's movies are steeped in that realism. This DC Cinematic Universe is not, and if they wanted to continue on with their other properties, they couldn't put it in there. So I don't think it really did it from, as of right now, the time period. Yeah, sure, because it's just the way that the releases came out. As far as I know, the world's not ending anytime soon. So they have so much time. They have so much time to do exactly what they want and go to their plan. So I don't think it really hurt them. But I think that if you look at it because of when the movies came out, sure, they had to just do their strategy. I also think that's why they did Batman v Superman so early. if they want to play catch up, they have to show everything that they put the cards on there. That's why they're doing Justice League so fast. But no, I don't. I think that they're trying to right the ship. They're trying to put people in there that it's gonna be more of a structure to where the first couple of movies it was a chaotic system. I think they're starting to right that ship. I have hopes for the DC Cinematic Universe where I think they're going to really start to right the ship in the next like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination of the Batman movies coming out when they did, and also Iron Man being a great film. I look at this more like Marvel got really lucky with how great Iron Man was, and that we were just so on board with that as soon as it hit. We were really on board with those Batman movies, Dennis, and the last one, in my opinion, didn't really live up to it, and DC has had some critical struggles since, but do you think that the reason why some of these stumbles is because we couldn't reboot Batman earlier?
Actually, I don't place too much blame on that Nolan trilogy because I feel like, yeah, maybe it delayed them a little bit, but I think DC and especially WB, they kind of were waiting to see what was happening with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, it's not like when Iron Man came out, everyone's like, oh, we're all going to do a shared cinematic universe. People were watching and seeing the other movies like Captain America, Thor. It wasn't until really when Avengers came out that people really realized how big this shared universe thing was. Like that when that came out, it's like, oh my God, like these other ones are almost lead up to this big event film. And that's when now after that movie came out, everyone was doing a shared universe. And I know DC was probably watching and anticipating, okay, this is probably something we should do, but they weren't sure if monetarily that was going to be a big benefit to them until they saw what happened with Marvel.
Well, we want to remind you guys at the end of this show, we're going to save some time for your live Twitter questions. So start tweeting us right now at Collider Video. But in the meantime, speaking of leading up to big events, Kristian, there's kind of a big event happening right here on Collider Video on Friday.
Yeah, Friday it's going down. Our own Clark Wolf is going up against Dangerous Dan Murrell for the championship. There she is, the classy Clark, who has just taken this league on by storm, going up against Dangerous Dan, who took the title from Riley a couple months back. This is going to be a very this match is going to be amazing. The two of them, they really know their stuff. I can't wait to see who is going to win this match.
I think that poster is indicative of what's going to happen, too, because I think this is going to be a bloodbath. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair, maybe one of the highest-scoring matches we've ever seen in the Schmodown, and I don't know that I can even I can't imagine somebody beating Dan Murrell, but if there is somebody in the league that can, it probably is Clark Wolf, Dennis.
Yeah, I agree. I think Clark has the knowledge. She has kind of the temperament needed for this type of game, and I think Clark is going to take it just by a little bit.
All right, Ashley, I need your prediction for this week's Schmodown, which you're probably not going to show up for. But
oh my gosh, Mark, that was so rude. Why do you make these assumptions about me all the time?
You'll be at home watching Jungle Book.
Kids.
All right. Well, I'm obviously going to have to take Clark's side because I've never met Dan Murrell.
Oh man, you don't know him. You don't know you just yet. And our live Twitter questions. First one is?
Okay. Christopher Woodburn writes, what is your guys' craziest experience meeting a fan?
Let's talk about the good ones, I guess. Yeah. Which, like 98%, I'd say 99.9% of all our fans are awesome. Sometimes you get some, odd experiences, but I get to do it. Actually, I'm lucky enough to do it a lot more than most other people here because I'm on the road so much doing stand-up, and fans come out in droves, and it is so awesome. I had a lot of great fans even this weekend in San Francisco. Jake Friels interviewed me last night after the show. He did a quick 5-question interview. Then he told me he's starting his senior year in high school today. So good luck with your senior year, buddy. Kristian, the craziest or oddest fan interaction you've ever had?
There's been a lot. There's been some really good ones for sure. There was mostly I think there was some really free fans at Comic-Con this year got really like personal questions were asking me, and I was like, well,
you look like you want to laugh. Can you share with us?
Not that one. There were some personal questions people were asking me. I mean, really, you're asking me these questions? But the one that I thought was funny and pretty endearing. Actually, I was in Philadelphia for the Creed junket, and I was there, and this kid came up to me and we were talking, and he's like, hey, do you mind if I just pick your brain for a little bit? I'm like, absolutely. He's like, man, how do I talk to girls? and I was like, well, I don't know you that well, man, but I would just say, just be confident, And he's like, all right. And it was the coolest conversation. The guy was like really a sweet kid, but I was expecting questions about like Star Wars or Batman. And that came up, and we just had a conversation. So that was it.
Dennis, you're up.
Well, I love the meet and greets that we do at Comic-Con and WonderCons. Great interactions with the fans. I mean, with oddest ones, like those kind of tend more to the negative side. But a good one I had was I was celebrating my best friend's birthday. I think this was last year, and we were just in Little Tokyo here in downtown LA, and just some random guy was, "Hey, Dennis, movie talk, blah blah," and stopped me and started talking to me. Of course, my friends gave me crap about it, because to them, they have no idea kind of what I do and what we do here. So they're like, "Why is this guy stopping you and talking to you for no reason?" So I thought that was pretty cool.
Ashley, how about you? Any crazy fan interaction stories?
I'm just gonna
You can plead the fifth if you want.
I want to plead the fifth, but I'm just gonna leave you with the word creepy.
Oh, I know.
Okay. Hey, I hope you keep that luxuriant hair you have for a long time.
Thank you.
Ash.
Maybe until I'm 40.
What's the
All
next
right.
question?
Terrence Jones writes, "What do you guys think of Martin Scorsese's silence being over 3 hours?"
Wow, I think that I want to see something from this movie soon rather than later. I mean, I was out of town on Thursday and Friday. We didn't get a trailer for Silence yet, did we?
No.
We haven't seen any images from this movie, or there isn't much to report about it. The fact that it's over 3 hours does not shock me in the least, because it's Martin Scorsese. I watched Wolf of Wall Street for the better part of yesterday because it was on TV, so with commercials, that movie was like 9 hours. And you didn't need a lot of editing in that movie because it's pretty damn good. Anytime a film's over 3 hours, I'm going to have some apprehension. But at least knowing Martin Scorsese's behind the film, you give it a little bit of a pass going in because the guy is so good. And he's used to making longer movies, most of which turn out pretty damn well. What do you think about this, Dennis?
Same thing, because Wolf of Wall Street, when I heard it was, what, 3.5 hours long?
No, it's not that long.
I think it's 3:01.
3:01. Okay, so 3 hours long. Flew by. Like, I sat down, movie started, bam. I was like, it's over already? And so with Scorsese, you're going to give him a pass. I mean, Silence doesn't seem like it's going to be like that high energy like Wolf of Wall Street, but still, it's Scorsese, so I'm fine with it.
Kristian, will Silence break Marty's record for most F-bombs used in one movie?
No. Wolf of Wall Street's going to keep that for a while. But I think that I'm with Dennis on this one. Scorsese, for me, it's an event when he puts out a movie. So, I hope his career goes on for another 30, 40 years. But, there's just only so many movies we're going to get. So make them as long as you can. I don't care. I was just talking to you about Wolf of Wall Street half an hour ago, and to me, that movie, I don't want anything cut from that film. I love it how long it is. I love how a lot of his movies, the lengths, the stories, stuff that he wants to tell. Gangs of New York is maybe the only one I thought could have been trimmed a bit, but for the most part, a 3-hour Scorsese movie, yeah, sign me up.
You know, that F-bomb record, that might be like the Cal Ripken record of movies. Like that record seriously might never ever be broken, and that'd be just fine with us. All right, Ash, let's do 2 more Twitter questions.
Okay, Darren Wadsworth writes, "If you could live your lives in any movie genre, what would it be?"
In any movie genre. Wow. Okay, so horror's out.
Live our lives that we have right now in a genre?
I would say horror's right out the window.
Yeah.
I would say drama's right out the window. It's boring. It's between. Can I pick new release? it's between comedy. And you can't pick documentaries, that's cheating. Yeah. It's between comedy and like action adventure for me. But action adventure, after a while, I wonder if that jet-setting James Bond, Indiana Jones kind of
You wouldn't be able to do that as you, though.
What are you talking about?
Come on, man. You wouldn't be able to do it as you. You'd be able to do action adventure as you?
Yes. I did a Tough Mudder. How many?
Yeah, but
when was the last time you got off the walking treadmill?
It's not a matter. I'm not saying
job?
physically you can't do it. What I'm saying is that you would, after a while, be like, nah, I'm going to work on my stand-up. You would want to do it.
I could do comedy. And not,
That's what I'm saying, comedy. You're like, hey, you want to go catch the supervillain? I don't know. The game's on. Come on.
I ran into a fan at the Crunch Fitness that I worked
Congratulations.
at. And you know what he said? He's like, dude, you're taller than I thought you'd be. I can kick some serious ass. Now I'm picking action just to spite you. Dennis, I'm in action movies. Want to join me?
I would like to say that I would be in the crime drama genre just because I found that the most interesting, but I feel like I'd be so paranoid that I'd be like, someone would double cross me or something like that. I'd probably stay in some really nice animated movie that's all happy unicorns and puppy dogs.
Ooh, that's a good one. All right, Kristian. How about you and your physical fitness? Are you going to be in an adventure movie?
Boogie Nights.
Dean Martin's daughter, look out. You have no idea what you're getting yourself into. Ashley, what movie genre would you like to live the rest of your days in?
Romantic comedy, duh. They always have like nice endings, and you get to live your life with the person that you love and laugh.
I just want to point out most rom-coms are rated PG-13, so you might have to temper that sense of humor of yours a little bit.
I
Maybe
can reel
found
it back.
footage.
Says the guy who loves Periscope and Facebook Live. All right, let's do one more Twitter question and
Okay.
get out of here.
Carlos Rivero Jr. writes, what movie lines do you occasionally use in real life? Mine is, stupid is as stupid does.
Oh, that's a great one. The one that I always use, and it's not because of whoever I just talked to on the phone, but usually when I hang up the phone, what I say is from Scrooge with Bill Murray. He's just got a line in there where he says, if only I could fire that poor bastard. So I usually say that when I get off the phone, if only I could fire that poor bastard. And I wish that I worked I'll Make You Famous into more everyday conversation. That'll be my goal for 2017, is work more Young Guns 2 lines into real life. Kristian, your favorite movie quote that you actually use on a regular basis.
Well, we talked about this the other day, so I'll switch off from Stay on Target. And when people show up, welcome to the party, pal. That one's always fun to say.
That's pretty good. Yeah, Die Hard. What do you got, Dennis?
Yeah, I think we talked about this on Mailbag this weekend,
Yeah.
and I mentioned it was not a true movie quote because it happened off camera, which is the Christian Bale. Good for you. I use that one a lot.
Yeah.
I think that can count. I think good for you can count. Thank you for blessing us with unending comedy, Mr. Bale. All right, that will do it for us here on Movie Talk on this fantastic Monday. I want to thank everybody both behind the scenes helping us out today and everyone up here at the table with me, and also, first and foremost, Miss Wendy Lee. Where can everybody find you online?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Wendy Lee Zaney.
All right, Dennis Zen, where can the kids check you out?
You guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero or on Instagram, Dennis.tzng.
Kristian George Harloff co-hosting the Schmodown with me this Friday. In the meantime, where can everybody find you?
Well, Twitter and Instagram at Kristian Harloff. Make sure you check out Jedi Council. It'll be me, myself. Ellis will return. Mark Riley and Tiffany Smith returns on Thursday. Make sure you check that out. And if you haven't watched the Schmodown between JTE and Makuga from this past Friday, you really should. It was pretty crazy.
Ellis returns. Sounds like a good action sequel starring me. Ashley Mova, where can the kids find
Napping
you?
on the couch.
Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat at Ashley Mova. Happy Monday, guys.
Point Ellis. You guys can find me online at Mark Ellis Live. Make sure y'all check out AMCtheatres.com. That's where you go for all your box office, Showtime ticket information. Bookmark Collider.com. That's where we go for a lot of our breaking news stories that we bring you guys each and every weekday. And of course, subscribe right here, Collider Video on YouTube. And make sure you check out Kristian and I's movie show, Schmoes Know, also on YouTube. And we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.